Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bruce on the Loose. This is Dino Lorenzo.
And I'm Abby Fagan.
And we are here. We've got a special guest for you today. But obviously, before that, we want to let you know what Bruce is up to. So today, 9/8, he has no appearance. Bruce took the day off. But tomorrow, he will be appearing in Kansas City, Missouri. Is that how you say it? Missouri?
Missouri? Missouri?
Yeah,
I thought it was Missouri.
Yeah. Missouri. Well, that's how they say it, but that's not how we say it. But yeah, Kansas City on 9/9, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma on 9/11, and then I don't know if he's going to be in Texas because of Hurricane Harvey, of course, but he was scheduled to be in Austin on 9/13 and 9/14. Have you heard anything?
Yes, that was for a convention, and they've moved it to December.
Okay, so the Austin, Texas is out, obviously, because of Hurricane Harvey.
It was the Fan...
Expo? No.
Fanatics Expo.
Okay,
Fanatics.
So the Fanatics Expo for Austin has been postponed due to obvious reasons, Hurricane Harvey, to December. But then we have Salt Lake City, Utah on 9/19, Denver, Colorado, 9/21. For the Hail to the Chin, Further Confessions of a B-Movie Actor book tour.
Go to brucecampbell.com for more information.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That way you can find out the venue, get tickets if you need it, and if you're lucky, there'll still be some spaces available because he's been selling out like hotcakes this summer.
Yeah, he has. Silly Ash versus Evil Dead.
So, what do we got going on today, Abby?
Today we're going to be talking to Susan from 1428 Elm.
Yes, absolutely. It is, and it's Susan Leighton. She's a big follower of ours on Twitter. We follow her on Twitter. She retweets Bruce on the Loose. She retweets Abby and me personally, and we retweet her all over the place. We love her. She's awesome. She's also the person who came up with the hashtag Bring Boomstick Back movement, because obviously stars, we don't know. They haven't shown us anything from season 3 yet. Season 4 is up in the air. So she was a big supporter of that. And 1428elm.com is the place to go to see her. She's a writer for them. And you know what 1428 Elm really is, right, Abby?
Yeah, it's a Freddy Krueger house, right?
That's right. Freddy Krueger address. Thank you. Because I'm sure some people don't know that. And if you don't, you're not a horror fan.
Somebody asked me. They go, Elm? And I go, yeah, it's a horror website. And they're like, oh. I'm like, yeah, Freddy's house. And then well, it's not Freddy's. It's Nancy's house, right? Or is it Freddy's house?
Well, it was the Elm Street house where everything takes place.
Right, okay.
Because remember, it was the same house, right? So where they pull the mother through the door, that little window and her shoes fly off. At the end of the first one.
That was great.
I love that. That is my favorite part because it's obviously like this little dummy that they just yank through this window because the hole is way too small. God, I love that. But I mean, 1428elm.com is like the horror genre website. I mean, they have great interviews, great features. You guys have to definitely go check them out.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're up there with like evildeadnews.com.
Absolutely.
And the Deadite Slayer. I mean, these are people who seek news out for the horror genre every second of the day.
And they are on it. All of their writers are amazing at what they do. They have I really like 1428 Elm. It's one of my favorites to go to for all
absolutely.
horror film. Blah blah blah.
I mean, I only became aware of 1428 Elm, I would say probably 6 months ago, just from going on Twitter and, finding stuff like that. But ever since I found it, I am there all the time checking it out because they have they update constantly. And not only that, just a few weeks ago, maybe not even a week ago, just a few weeks ago, they did a story on us. The Bruce on the Loose podcast. Isn't that amazing?
That was cool.
I put it online. Basically, I sang the Stars parody to the Stars Network using a song from Les Miserables, and they did a story on it. And it kind of tied back into that hashtag Bring Boomstick Back campaign because I sang passionately, of course, about doing a season 4 and continuing to renew the show to go along with Bruce's 5-year plan.
Go ahead, give us the last lick.
Oh, you want me to sing? What do you mean? And if you cancel our favorite show, we'll cancel. Isn't that great? Don't you get chills? Awesome. Oh, you got hairs on your neck? Ew. Shh. Oh, the little one. They're like cilia.
Why you gotta be mean? Why you gotta be mean?
Let me ask you something.
Joe.
Did you?
Italian.
I'm not going to touch that at all. Yeah, let's move on as if nothing happened. Listen, what did you like better, my song parody or my hip hop rap about the hail to the chin?
Well.
So did you say hail?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
I liked your rap a lot. I did. It was good. I like Stars better.
No, I appreciate it. Hey, no problem. I mean, these are all just little goofy things that I come up with. I think, Stars I came with overnight, and then, Hail to the King. I'm sorry, Hail to the Chin. A lot of people liked it.
I like it.
Hail to the Chin. Hail to the Chin. You said you laughed out loud. I was so happy when you said that to me.
I did.
The next one, you know what I wanted to do? I did that in such one afternoon, but what I wanted was, like you and Brittany Anderson to sing the chorus, Hail to the Chin, Hail to the Chin. It was supposed to be a girl's role in my head, but afterwards I'm just like,
we got Bruce Campbell.
So next time I want you girls to sing something for the background for us.
Oh.
And you're going to sing. You're going to take a little solo there, my friend, because you need to.
I need to. I'm still working on it. I was thinking, I got one. I'm working on it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear what you come up with because, of course, you're one of my favorite creative people.
Oh, and you're one of my favorite mean people. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, thanks. Great. I'm a meanie, huh? All right.
I just messing. Oh my god.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, you know what? Let's just call Susan now. Dial her up.
Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Bring. Hey.
Awesome.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hey Susan.
Hey.
So, how's your weekend so far?
It is wonderful. I'm relaxing. I'm out by the pool, so to speak. The mojitos are flowing. All the good stuff.
Beautiful, wonderful. So where are we at? What's going on with Ash versus Evil Dead? Do we have anything on the latest?
Well, what we have, according to Ray, is pretty much the same thing that everybody knows. No confirmation on Season 4. Season 3, they're still waiting. It's really looking like first quarter 2018. Some really great news with my interview that I did with him. He pretty much confirmed Ariel Carver O'Neill as Ash's daughter. Said it was a pleasure working with her. She's a nice addition to the team, and that the finale is going to be excellent, and that fans really have to stay tuned for all the episodes, and encouraging them, like you guys have been doing, to get the Stars app. Do what you can. As a matter of fact, Bruce Campbell even mentioned that in Toronto last night in his Q&A, telling people, hey, you guys are, oh my God, Stars, it's $6.95, I can't afford it. It's really critical to do all that stuff, to, Stars app, to buy the merchandise, the DVD that just came out for Season 2, support the cast in whatever they happen to be doing. I mean, the networks look at it. That's where they are right now. Ray said that it's going to be fantastic because Pablo was one with the Necronomicon, like everybody knows, and that's caused him to change, and it's also caused the evil forces to look at him in a different light. So I have to say, in talking to Ray, it's really bumped up my interest level, which was already at an 11 to begin with. So I think, the fans are going to be really, really psyched and pleased with Season 3.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
It does sound amazing. Just there's a couple of things. Just listening to what you're saying. The first thing that I want to say is that remember when the show started 2 years ago, Bruce kind of was showing people how to beat the system. Do you remember he would say, download the app or order stars and you get a month free. You can watch the show and binge it like everybody's doing these days. And then you can cancel it and beat the system that way. I mean, that's kind of catching up to them now.
Right. And he mentioned that again just recently. So there's ways to do it, and it counts toward the show. I think, where the confusion is with fans is that they don't understand the total picture of, now that's just some of them, not all of them, because some are really, they really know their stuff, and that's great. But I think for a small majority or a minority of them, they may not understand that the networks look at revenue. And it's like I said in my articles, if you fork over the dough, you get the show. And that's the key to it. I mean, if you don't subscribe, how are they going to know who's watching? That's not going to help Ash versus Evil Dead. That's not going to help them when the network suits look at, at the ratings. It's a big picture. It's, bigger than, I can't get the stars app. So it's like if they want the show, they have to take their passion and they have to channel it and listen to what the cast is saying, because they've been saying it for months now, and go out and do it. And that's the way to get stars to know that, hey, we want to see the show. It's viable. Okay, we're going to find a slot for it.
Absolutely. I mean, I ordered stars immediately when season 1 first was about to start. So, I mean, I'm good and I'm legal and everything. And of course, in the Bruce Campbell Fan Club Facebook group, we always have people. I mean, one of our rules in there is you can't give any links to illegal downloads. You can't even mention illegal downloads. You'll get a warning. It's a 3-strike system. But we have a number of people. I mean, almost every day, I'm deleting posts where people are like, hey, you could see it free here. And that you're right. They absolutely do not get the big picture. And then they'll be the first ones to complain if the show were to get canceled. They'd be like, well, how come they can't make it anymore? Oh, this sucks. Bruce sucks. No, you suck. Because you didn't support the show. You wanted to see it for free. And now you caused its own downfall. So it's a shame.
Well, it really is. And even Bruce has addressed that. I believe he addressed it when he first kicked off his book tour. And, it's you don't want to pirate the show. You want to do it legally. It kind of blew my mind to hear that AvED is like one of the top shows for being downloaded illegally. I mean, that's great that they're passionate, like you said, Dino, but there's a bigger picture involved. And now it's even bigger because of Lionsgate. It's all corporate. It's all corporate America. There's bureaucracy. There's red tape. So, you have to comply.
Absolutely. I mean, once that word corporate gets involved, there's nothing you can do. I mean, we're screwed. But yeah, so you have to follow the rules. Now, and that's what I mean. They're so passionate about the show. They love Bruce. They love Ash. They will risk illegally downloading it or illegally streaming it, however they get it. They'll break the law to do it, but they won't pay $6.95 or whatever it is. It's just ridiculous.
Well, in my one article that I did about Star's call to action, I tell them I actually break down the cost. I actually did a cost analysis on it, what it's going to cost for Starz, as opposed to Showtime, as opposed to HBO, and you can clearly see there's savings there. I mean, Starz is less expensive. The programming, in my opinion, with Starz is worth it. The original shows that you get, I've been a fan of Starz for years. And I think it's well worth the $6.95 or the $8.95 to spend. That's not too much to ask.
No, you're absolutely right. Compared to the other premium channels, I mean that's ridiculous. So I mean, hopefully we'll go past season 3. But I have to tell you, I'm getting a little nervous because Bruce is telling everybody your jaw is gonna drop. Your Evil Dead will never be the same again. And then Ray saying the same thing in your interview with him. Wonderful interview, by the way. I mean, I always love it there on 1428elm.com. And you're one of our biggest supporters on Twitter. And, you know, Jeremy did an article on us a couple of weeks back when I did the Stars parody. So we really appreciate you guys. But yeah, I'm a little nervous.
Your articles are amazing. They always talk about the things that everybody wants to know.
Well,
they're not just hoopla.
Hold on to your hats, because it's going to be an interesting ride this week, because I will be talking to Bruce this week.
Oh, yes.
I'm so excited for you.
Oh, great. Good for you. Congratulations. That's going to be awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
That is so cool.
To it. No, what I was going to say is I just want to say it's going to be a different kind of interview. You know, yes, I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room, which is AvED, but what really interests me is writing. How Bruce discovered that, you know, I might like to do this, because it started, according to, you know, If Chins Could Kill, it started for him at an early age with writing journals, particularly when he was involved with the Playhouse. And I just want to get into that a bit, because I think that's an area where the fans will be interested. You know, it's a bit more, I want to say, personal. So that's going to be I guess the point of my article. It's going to be more of a Bruce Campbell article than an outright Ash versus Evil Dead. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there and set the groundwork for that.
That's going to be fantastic. You don't find very many of those articles. It's always, hey, what are you doing with Ash versus Evil Dead?
Exactly.
But I'd like to know more about the writing part of it.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, an area to be explored, because he said in numerous interviews that's the direction that he wants to go in. Plus, he's got projects that he wants to do. He had mentioned a Western. I think the interest level is definitely there, and I think it will make for a fascinating conversation with him. You know, I wanted to take a different tack. I didn't want to do the same things, you know, that everybody else does, because what more can we say? We know the deal with season 4. We know the deal with season 3. We could, you know, discuss, yeah, Lee Majors is going to make an appearance this year, or, you know, talk about Ash's daughter, but in the end, there's not much that they can divulge. There's not much that they can say, because on one hand, they don't know, and on the other hand, why are we going to give out spoilers before the season even starts? Nobody does that.
Right.
In the fan club, because, you know, he's doing his massive book tour this summer, and we have people going to see him, you know, in every state, and I always tell them, they're like, what should I do? What should I talk to him about? And I always tell them, bring up something obscure. Don't give his Ash lines to him. He's going to roll his eyes. He's going to make fun of you. And he's going to want to be as far away from you as possible, as quick as possible. So, you know, talking to him about his writing, that's going to really keep him engaged. I'm sure he will be more interested in talking about that than about season 3 or anything like that. Because, I mean, you know, I don't know about you.
It's already been done.
Right. But I read every interview that he does. I look at every appearance that he does. I listen to every thing that goes on YouTube when he appears on these radio shows, and he pretty much is saying the same thing over and over, and he's tired already from this tour. So that's going to be an awesome article. When it's going to be out this week for sure.
Yep, hopefully that's the game plan. You know, once it goes through my editor's hands and we take a look at it, yeah, it should be out there this week. So, you know, stay tuned. I'm sure, since I'm such a Twitter whore, you know, you'll be seeing a lot of it, because I get constantly kidded. People are like, "Oh my God, you and your tweets, and you have Shatner beat," and I'm like, "Oh, great." Terrific.
Oh, I don't think anybody's got Shatner beat, but you're pretty close. You're pretty close to Shatner.
Hey, I don't have a brand. I don't come with a brand, so, you know, I got to work harder. But
to be honest, I enjoy yours better than Shatner's any day.
I've been a big fan of his for years. I'm going to go on the record here on your podcast and say, yes, he was my very first crush, the very first love of my life, William Shatner. You know, the stories I could tell you about the schoolyard, and the fact that, you know, I used to always make my friends play Star Trek episodes. I'm sure they loved that. But yeah, what I like about Shatner is what you see is what you get. There's no pretension level there. There's no, this is just my, I don't know him personally, but this is just from observing and watching him throughout the years. And to me, that's refreshing. And I think sometimes when you are acerbic on Twitter and you have a sarcastic wit, it doesn't translate.
I'm the worst at my humor coming off. Dino can contest. He's like, are you being funny or not? But I do have one story about Shatner that I do really appreciate. When the floods were going on where I live, I asked him for help, and he helped me through Twitter, and I thought that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's really good about that. He's got a lot of passionate causes, and that has to be respected. And of course, he's a venerable veteran of stage, film, TV. He's just, this is like all of a sudden the William Shatner fan appreciation, but yeah.
But no, I mean, it's definitely relevant. Is Bruce the new Shatner? I've kind of always felt that way.
I've been looking at recent tape of him and footage of him, and there was an interview in, was it Cincinnati? I think it was, and I was looking at him, and I was watching his mannerisms, and I'm like, holy crap, has he morphed into William Shatner? What's going on? And I had the same thought, Dino. I was like, oh, wow. Okay, so it was almost like watching Shatner in a sense. And I guess Shatner must have that effect because when he worked with James Spader on Boston Legal, all of a sudden it's like James Spader became a mini version of him, down to the inflection, down to the the movement and everything. So I guess he's that influential.
I've always tried to talk like him.
Oh, good Lord, Abby, please. Some cue cards there, Dino. She needs some help. Because I believe Shatner had an anecdote about that, about how that broken speech pattern came about. I believe he said that it was because he had trouble memorizing his lines. And
oh, that's fantastic.
Bruce said, I think it's some interview that you could always tell when Shatner was struggling because then that speech pattern with the broken, sentences started, and then when he finally found words and everything, then it sped up like very quick. So yeah, that's pretty much, just don't do that. And Dino, if she starts, get her cue cards or something.
Absolutely. and one last thing for Shatner, for me, before season 2 came out, do you remember when Bruce tweeted Shatner and said, hey, we'd like you to play my father on the show?
He said that?
Yes. I mean, I'll find it for you. He had tweeted Shatner and he said, we'd love to have you play my father. And Shatner, of course, said something, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I will
along
find
the lines of, I am your father?
No, it was something, I'm trying to remember exactly how Bruce put it, but Bruce said, it wouldn't be bad, it wouldn't be a bad idea, and Shatner said something like, when I'm bad, I'm better, or something like that, but nothing ever came of that, and then, of course, the $6 million man showed up.
It's funny, when I saw Lee Majors, I was like, wow. Are we systematically picking all my crushes from the 70s? It was like reliving my room when I was growing up. I'm like, wow, because I had the Lee Majors, Steve Austin action figure. I had Jamie. Oh, yeah. I had the late, great Richard Anderson. So I had all these action figures, and I'm like, well, okay, what are we doing, AvED? Or were you in my room circa 1975? It was really bizarre.
That's amazing.
It's nice to bring all that stuff back. I'll be honest with you. I know Abby has no clue about being alive in that era, but I think it was one of the 70s and 80s were the last great eras as far as I'm concerned. So I love seeing all those old icons come back.
Oh yeah, and in terms of film, genre film, get out of town. The 70s and the 80s, I mean the 70s, let's just look at those. It spawned George Lucas, Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg. When you catch lightning in the bottle like that, that's like a rare alignment of the planets. And, the 80s, of course, with the horror genre, I'm a little biased because I was fortunate enough to grow up during that era. And just amazing being able to see those films in the theater, have that experience. Because back then, Dino, you can probably attest to this, you didn't have people using the theater as a babysitting service, or we didn't have texting. We didn't have crazy, things happening, so you could enjoy the movie-going experience. And I personally really miss that.
Oh, absolutely.
I miss that too, yeah.
What directors do we have today? Zack Snyder and I mean
J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, but I mean, again, come on. These are not genre
Well, no,
guys.
what I just am saying, these are our big guys, and they're not even that.
Yeah, they're hacks. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
I mean,
they get all their. My inspiration is Steven Spielberg. My inspiration is blah blah blah. I mean, they're all just people pulling from the original.
It's the hip thing to say, Steven Spielberg. I want to hear somebody say John Carpenter inspired me to make a movie.
Well,
Eli Roth does that.
Oh, they're out there. Eli Roth is one that cites, I believe James Wan does. I know, when I was in film school, I remember everybody was like, Martin Scorsese. And then, of course, me in the class, I raised my hand. I said, don't kill me all at once. But yeah, if I ever get anywhere, I really don't want to work with Martin Scorsese. And there was like a collective, get her out of town. I mean, it was almost like I had to duck and run to get to my car.
Oh,
but
no.
Yeah. But, in terms of that, I remember Steven Spielberg years ago had some quote that I read about, younger people don't know the joy of black and white films, and they don't go back to the 40s or the 30s. And you know what that did? That kind of incensed me. And I was like, wow, I'm a real film buff. I'm a real cinephile. I love that stuff. I mean, if you saw my personal library, I have tons of celebrity biographies that I read. And I'm like, wow, I know old film. You don't have to explain to me Bridge on the River Kwai. You don't have to explain Tom Jones to me, Stephen. I get it. So what that did was that drove me personally to want to create stuff that's different. So those people were out there, Abby. They're in full force. You can see them on Twitter. You can see a lot of the indie influences. I mean, just to give you an example, I had the pleasure of reviewing Lee and Sam Boxleitner's film, Die, Sit or Die, Rupert. If you want a strange experience, watch that movie. That will stick with you for days. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's 20 minutes of what the F just happened here. It's a real throwback. It's exciting. So they do exist today.
And those are the ones that I applaud because you don't find them often. And it's like a gym, to find these kind of things. I watched a weird movie the other day, The Void, which was a really good little throwback movie, but you don't find them often as far as that goes.
The Void, for me, when I saw that, I was like, wow, what a cacophony of confusion. It was the start of great beginnings. It was a great beginning, and then I'm like, do you want to be the Thing? Do you want to be Alien? What are you hoping for here? And the whole ending, which I'm obviously not going to give away, this was my thought. I got an image of writers in a room. Holy crap. How can we even end this film? And them just putting sticky notes on a whiteboard and just, blindfolding themselves, and then whatever they hit.
Here's a dartboard. You're right. No, absolutely. I was like, this is a mixture between like Phantoms and The Thing, and somebody recommended it to me. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was really fast paced. I was pretty impressed with that as far as, I don't know, when you watch a movie like, Unfriended, it's nice to have something a little bit more substantial than, I don't know, a bunch of people on a computer dying.
And the acting to me in that film was, above board. It was terrific. You know, it was that made the film for me, along with the effects. I was quite impressed.
The effects were amazing.
Yeah,
yeah,
they were.
So it sounds like a decent
practical.
film. Practical effects, love that. So it was a decent film, but somehow uneven, and it may have missed the mark.
Yeah, for me at least. Now
it was there, but it wasn't there.
Well, I need to see it now.
Yeah, you should see it. Just for the special effects, it was really good.
Yeah, I would definitely say give it a watch. You know, because it's like a little film that could. And I always try to support the indie people. That's why you'll see some, you know, bizarre articles with names that you may not recognize. But who knows, in the future, anything can happen, because look at the Michigan Mafia. You know?
Right.
But that's what I like. That's what's good. I like to look into someone who's not famous. You know what I mean? Somebody who's maybe just starting out. You never know. I always try to give them a chance, because I'll be honest with you, I've been let down so much lately by the names, by the big names. So I'm kind of going back that indie route.
You know, and I long for the days of the 90s, you know, in terms of independent film. It seems to me that, you know, it's starting. There's more indies creeping up. There always is, every day. But it seems to me that Hollywood was more on board in the 90s with the indie film movement. And I don't think we see as much of that today. It's always got to be a tentpole. It's always got to be, you know, some rehash, some reboot, you know. And was there a public outcrying for The Mummy? I mean, did we need this? Was there some kind of rally I missed where people were like, oh man, we have got to bring this to the screen? Really, people? No, I can't even. Yeah.
And look what happened.
Yeah, nothing.
Right, it bombed. Huge bomb for Cruise.
Was it a remake of the original Mummy, or was it a remake of Brendan Fraser?
Brendan Fraser. What I think they did was they went into the archives at Universal, because there's always that guy or that girl that's like, hey, look at what I found. Films from the 30s. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to remember.
Damn it, don't touch those.
Yep, let's reinvent the wheel. So, and this is all just my personal feelings, personal rants, you know. Probably, if anything ever happens, I'll never do anything with Universal, whatever. I mean, I have to applaud them. But by the same token, it's like, okay, I understand the concept of bringing these films to a younger generation. You know, I'm all for that. But when you don't cast properly,
or you don't do it right,
I don't see. Yeah, I know. Cruise did War of the Worlds. He did Minority Report. He's proven action.
He's just Tom. He's just the name. Is what he is to me.
You know, the people were praising the Sophia. Her last name escapes me. The Mummy.
She played the Mummy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they were praising her. I mean, when you're praising the second lead, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, and Tom Cruise was in that. What does that tell you? So yeah, and as a result, much like with the trend in horror movies, there's one failure, and let's revisit that maybe in 5 years. Because they had a whole slew of the monsters planned. They had Russell Crowe lined up to do Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They had there was
and then Benicio del Toro did Wolfman.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And if you have a fresh take on this stuff, terrific. Go and run with it. But sometimes they sit there and I'm like, oh God, why are we doing this again? You know, and even in television and on Broadway, I'm like, wow, Broadway, tell me there's no playwrights anywhere. There's no one that can write a new musical, so we're picking things from the 1920s that Cole Porter did when he was drunk. I mean, come on.
It's so bad. And you know something, one of my favorite films of all time, again, before there was Sam Raimi, for me, there was John Carpenter. And they're actually remaking Escape from New York, and I am...
What?
Yes. Well, oh yeah. And they've been trying to do it for a while, but they just earlier this year signed on Robert Rodriguez to redo it. And so now I got a little bit of hope. There's no way to escape it. They're going to make this movie. But Rodriguez is an admitted Carpenter fan. And if you've watched any of his films, he's ripped scenes right out of John Carpenter films and, you know, and refilmed them for Machete, for...
you gave me a little hope with
Planet Terror. Exactly. That's the only hope I got, Rodriguez.
Well, I think, Dino, to your point, is if this is how I look at it. The whole Evil Dead controversy of 2013, we might as well put that in a textbook. And, I'm prepared for your listeners' hate on this, but here's my take. You've got the creator. This is his baby, be it John Carpenter, be it Sam Raimi. And they are saying, I trust you, Robert Rodriguez. I trust you, Fede Alvarez, that you're going to take my baby and you're going to do what's right. There's not much more of a ringing endorsement that you can get. And in the case of Evil Dead, Bruce is involved in casting. Rob Tappert is doing his wizardry behind the scenes. It was a full-on effort. Those guys, they believed in Alvarez. He had a unique approach, but yet, it was like, we could have done better. And, I guess I just look at it differently. I look at, I just said, rehashes, reboots, but for me, the caveat is that if the original person that is the genesis for this project signs off, handpicks a director, it's in good hands. That's just my opinion.
I'll agree with you there.
Oh, yeah, I'll agree.
I didn't mind the remake so much, so long as I didn't think of it as or reboot, remake, rehash, whatever it was. I didn't mind it. It was scary. I mean, it had essence. It had its moments. I just didn't think of it as being like Evil Dead. It had it was good, though. I thought it was...
I agree. I enjoyed it very much. As a film on its own, again, I had to separate it because even though, a lot of the similar things were happening, you have to separate it because I know I'm a big fanboy on this, but to me, Evil Dead is Bruce, is Ash. So without him, the cameo at the end was awesome, but, I had to separate it and look at it as something totally different because to me, Evil Dead is Ash. You need Ash to have a successful Evil Dead. But I didn't think it was the best movie ever. I didn't think it was the worst movie ever, but I did enjoy it.
If I can leave the theater and say, hey, that wasn't so bad, and I've, had a really big chip on my shoulder, it was okay. It was good.
I think the key is to what you were saying, Abby, is you have to approach those remakes when particularly the creators involved as a new entity. And I know that Bruce has mentioned it in interviews, it would have been pretty hokey if he would have showed up in the Walt Gorney part. Hey, you kids, don't go to that cabin. It's like, because I just rewatched Friday the 13th part 2, and that would have been ridiculous. So everybody would have been like, oh look, it's Bruce Campbell, but then it would have been like, oh, why did that even occur? So I'm glad they decided not to go, even try anything like that.
I think the cameo at the end was like the seal of approval. Hey, I'm here. I'm just gonna say groovy because you know what? It's good in my eyes.
The worst thing about all of this is that for some reason, and I do not know why, but for some reason, I would say we have over 50,000 people in the Bruce Campbell fan club, and I would say about 49,000 of them want Mia to show up in Ash versus Evil Dead for some reason. And they were all hoping that she was Ash's daughter or something like that. I don't get that. I don't see why they would want to cross that over.
I don't think that she should be his daughter at all. I think that it's a different plane of existence, and
and never the twain shall meet. I think it's a bad idea.
Well, and I think there's fans out there that are still clamoring for Evil Dead 4. I see things about
they
that.
Are.
I'm like, what are you? Wait a minute. I'm like, as Will Ferrell said in Zoolander, am I taking crazy pills? I'm like, what is Ash versus Evil Dead? I'm having a Mugatu moment. I'm like, what is that? Have we forgotten about that? I mean, is it really necessary? And especially when, Campbell says, okay, so we make that for $200 million, what have you, and then it fails at the box office.
Right, and then there's nothing else left.
You know, for like 10,000 people who really, really want it. I mean, it's just not going to be worth it.
I've had to tell a bunch of people in the fan club that, you know, be happy with what you got because at least you have something. And they were saying nothing for a long time.
Just jumping back to season 3 for a moment. You know, they got the new showrunner. We had our trouble with Greg DiGregorio. You know, him and Rob Tappert couldn't see eye to eye, so he left, and now they brought in Mark Verheiden. And they're saying that this season is going to be more horror based than it has been, which is awesome for me because Evil Dead has always been about the mix of horror and comedy, a fine mix. And I think that, you know, season 1 and 2 had some horrific elements, but it was mostly about the comedy. Do you agree with that?
I do. I do. Don't get me wrong. I love Splatstick. I love the fact that they even generated their own term for it. It's inventive, and everybody that does comedy and horror together, that's the genesis for it. But when it comes to season 3, personally, I'm excited by it. Taking the whole Joseph Campbell approach, the mythos of Ash. How did he become this person in a book? How was he how was he a prophecy? What is that all about? And I think Verheiden is going to bring that. And what has me extremely intrigued is the fact that, in Bruce Campbell's words, Ash loses his shit this year.
Ooh.
I've read some interviews, and we're going to see a little bit of a different side with him. He actually has a bit of a breakdown. And if you think about it, how much more can this guy stand? People don't stop and think about it. Okay, Ash has been living with trauma for 30 years, but he's never seen a shrink. He's pretty much been a lone wolf. You know, he pretty much keeps all that stuff inside. And then in season 3, it's like, surprise, you have a daughter. You know, all this stuff is happening. This is the fate of the world on your shoulders, buddy. Good luck. And you also have to deal with this kid that you don't really know, and you're responsible for her. Plus, you've got the ghost speeders. You know, it's just like, people don't sit there and think about that character in those terms, and I think it's going to be interesting to see that whole evolution. And I believe in a recent interview, he said that Ash gets a little weepy. Now, I don't know. I'm not prepared for that. Not at all. You know, Ray told me that the finale is akin to 6 Feet Under. And I said, so Ray, what you're telling me is I need to have the Kleenex available because I'm going to cry like a baby.
Oh, snap.
He's like, yeah, he's like, you're going to be vacuuming your house and stop and go, wait a minute, what did I just see? Watch it again. Then you're going to cry. Then you're going to laugh. And I'm like, oh, God. So just the mere notion of Ash showing a bit of emotion, even through, you know, the whole Brujo episodes, you see flashes of Ash being emotional, especially when he was thinking he had to kill Kelly. Mm-hmm. And you can see his eyes tear up. And to me, I was like, wow, you know, I haven't witnessed that in Evil Dead before, but to me, it stuck with me. It was a poignant moment. So I say, let's bring it on. Let's see Ash. Let's get into his psyche. Let's find out what Ruby wants from him. You know, she evidently, in Lucy Lawless's words, wants a little something from him. What is that? I'm on board. You know, what kind of you know, what does Pablo do this season? What's going on with Kelly? And Ray has mentioned a theme of you don't know what you have till it's gone. So I think I'm looking forward to it.
It's scary. I mean, the writers really had a job on their hands. I can't wait to see what they come up with because there's so much out there, right? You have, of course, like you say, Ash's trauma. You have the secret that his father was trying to tell him, which may end up being about the daughter. We don't know. We have Ash's daughter. And we still have Ruby. To be honest with you, they've never really explored Ruby, you know? And now we have 80s Ruby. And we have them changing time in the last episode of season 2. So there's a big corner that they've painted themselves into that they have to get out of this season. I'm confident that they'll do it, but I can't wait to see how it all plays out.
I'm excited even talking about it because I think the fans are just going to be blown away. I know when Ray was talking to me about it, I was thinking, I can't wait to see this. You know, come on, let's hurry up 2018. Let's get this year over with, or whenever, you know, Stars and Lionsgate decides to put it out. That whole, just the whole journey of Ash is fascinating to me. And, you know, if I were an actor or actress, you kind of hope for that in your career, especially if it's an iconic character. And Campbell said over and over that he gets to redo the idiot. And in a sense, he does get to George Lucas it, you know? So I can't wait for season 3.
The last thing I'm going to say about season 3 is, like I said, everything that they're saying kind of makes me have a dark thought that maybe Ash himself may not make it out of season 3 alive, which scares
not say these things.
Listen, I know, but it scares the hell out of me. But I'll be honest with you, I know that Bruce may be a little tired of playing the role. I know that he pushed this off as long as he could until he couldn't anymore, and then the show, you know, then he agreed to do the show. But sort of like Harrison Ford wanted to kill Han Solo off in Empire Strikes Back, and George Lucas said no way. I'm thinking, if they killed him off, would Bruce really be so unhappy about that?
No one is safe. That's what the buzz phrase. No one is safe. Right. Ray said it. Bruce has said it. You know, I can't speak for Bruce Campbell, but I do know in reading interviews with him and him talking about having poopy diaper syndrome. And I just read something, I believe, with Broke Horror Fan, where he said, you know, toward the end of the season, he's like, somebody just kill me, you know, because he's normally a cheery guy, but when you think about it, the harnesses, the blood kegs, sitting around with coagulating Karo syrup and that special recipe, after a while, you know, that takes its toll. And when you're 33 like Ray, or you're in your 30s like Dana, you're up for it. You know, you're like, yes. But when you get to certain fans, don't kill me, okay? Don't like bombard me, at me with, we hate you, you know, Susan on the ledge.
No way.
But he's an older man now. He's 59. I mean, when do we stop with that? I mean, that's my memo to Tom Cruise, who apparently broke his ankle or did something. You're 55, Tom. I'm not saying, like, oh, we're all ready for the home, because I'm 51, and I'm far from ready for a home. But, I mean, there comes a point where you can't just do that stuff without it taking a toll. And apparently, since Burn Notice, as you guys have read in his books, he keeps blowing out his hamstring. I think he did that season 2 after the whole possessed car thing. And, you know, that could be tiresome. But that being said, we don't know. You know, do I think the show could survive without Ash? I'd have to see season 3 to make a good determination. Because they have such a cast there that I can see that it's possible. It seems that with each interview, and maybe you guys can weigh in on this, it almost seems like with each interview that he does, that he's kind of preparing for Act 3. What does he want to do? What's on his horizon? Right. What gets him up in the morning? What makes him passionate? And I think writing is a big part of that. And I think these passion projects that he has lined up, I think that's what moves him. He just recently said in an interview that he has to learn distribution. You know, who's going to write these articles on these films? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? So I think he's excited about moving in a different direction. And you know, in the articles that I've done on him recently, I have to say, I applaud, not because I'm a writer, but I applaud new directions in life. And I think that fans, you know, I'm hoping they support whatever he decides to do. You know, if it turns out, Dino, like your theory's correct, which none of us knows, I'm going to put that disclaimer
Right.
out there.
Oh, of course. Only mine.
The fans should be, they should applaud that, because this is their guy. This is something that he wants to do. And, you know, support that. That's all I can say. I mean, I support Hail to the Chin. In some ways, Abby, you and I were discussing.
Oh.
Is even loved Make Love the Bruce Campbell Way. I laughed my ass off throughout that entire book. I mean, it was inventive, it was original, and even if you look at Man with the Screaming Brain, Bruce, this guy has creative thoughts running around in his head. They're not your usual thoughts. They're not your typical things. I'm excited. I want to see what he does next. I want him to write a fiction book. You know, I look forward to 15 years from now. You know, I want to see what he's doing. I want to see what kind of films that he chooses to put his name on. You know, maybe he doesn't star in them. I don't know what his plans are. I keep saying that so people don't kill me. But it's like, I'm anxious to see what's in store for him, because, you know, yeah, he wants to go back to the mountaintop on Oregon, but we're not going to see the last of him. You know, this guy is 59. He lollygags all over the place. He makes some 20-year-olds look like, what are you doing with your life? So he's going to be far from retiring. And I think we just have to open our minds to the possibility that Bruce Campbell is evolving, and he might turn into something that is going to be pretty spectacular.
That's fabulous. I know that there's a member. There's a member in the club. Her name is Dee Maliak, and her idea is she wants to do what she calls a Chin Con, a convention just for Bruce and Bruce fans. And she actually got to see him the other day in one of his appearances, and she asked for his agent's number, and he said, "No, I'm not looking for any work, but thanks." So he's got his own agenda. So he's got his own things going on. You're right.
He does. You know, he's got things that he wants to do, and I saw the comment that he made about the fan club. I don't think he was dissing the fan club by any means. It makes sense. It really, truly does. And I thought to myself, you know, after he said that, I thought, wow, a lot of fan club members might be a little upset. Did you?
Going along with what you're saying, it's funny because obviously, I mean, I've been a Bruce fan since 1983, so I know what he's like. Me and Abby talked about him transforming from this like shy little guy when I first met him to who he is now, this massive persona. Hey, go to hell, you know, which I love. But if you're a Bruce Campbell fan now, you know that if you come off as too much of a fan, he's gonna make fun of you. And I didn't hear anything. There's been no feedback yet from his recent comments, but a few weeks back, one of our fan club members actually met him at one of the book signings, and we didn't get any of the specifics, but what we found out was that Bruce may have taunted him a little bit, and the next day he went into the fan club and started selling off all his collectibles and Bruce memorabilia. He was done being a Bruce Campbell fan, which means to me that he wasn't really a Bruce Campbell fan to begin with. I mean, you have to know that Bruce loves to bust your balls when you're one of his fans. So that was the only feedback I've seen so far this book tour, but nothing as far as the most recent video that came out.
You know, you have to look at the situation. I know that a lot of some of the posts, not necessarily on your feeds, but, you know, hey, he's not even looking at us. What's the deal with this? And it's like, you know, you have a venue like Barnes & Noble. I'm not kidding you. Barnes & Noble, by the time I got out, there was a line outside. I was sitting over at Rittenhouse Square, which is like across the street, and there was a line. I mean, you know, this guy is signing these books. He's, you know, he's being personable, but you're not going to get special one-on-one time. So I would say that's an unrealistic, you know, expectation. No, but I think what they don't realize is they're not seeing him for real. You know, you're seeing, and I've read this somewhere before, brash. You're seeing like a combination of Ash and Bruce. So it's a persona, and I think people confuse the persona with the person.
For these new fans, I mean, they may not be able to get it. I'm a long-term fan. The first time I met Bruce was in 1993. When I showed up, he was doing, do you remember the Starlog Superstore?
No, I don't think they had it in my immediate area at that time.
Well, they had a big store in my area when I lived up in New Jersey. I saw that Bruce Campbell was going to be there. I showed up first thing in the morning, and I was the first person to show up, of course. 4 other people showed up behind me. So what I did was, when I didn't see any big crowds gathering, remember, this is just 1993 in February. He was promoting Army of Darkness that was coming out that month. I went to the back of the line. So the 4 people got their autographs and left, and I was the only one there. So I got to spend about 15 minutes with him, talking to him, and he was real cool. I mean, you know, he was asking me questions about me and what I did for a living and things like that. We did get some good one-on-one time, and the same thing happened when his first book came out. But when Make Love, the Bruce Campbell Way, came out, it was like they were starting to rush people through the lines. He had a ton more fans by then, and, you know, they were just rushing him. Now I hear that it's really rushed. You get maybe 1 minute with him, and then Bruce's handler is shoving you out of the way. And that's not Mike Estes, by the way. This was Mike just came back to the tour. I know he was gone for a while, but if you're lucky, you get 60 seconds.
Yeah, that's not a lot of time.
You should be grateful for that, because there's a lot of people that don't even get to meet favorite celebrities throughout their lifetime.
Right.
Absolutely.
Man, I'm going to see him in October at the Walker Stalker Con in Atlanta. I cannot wait. There's usually a little bit better than your average book signing. So I just can't wait. And I really can't wait for your interview. What else you got coming up?
Well, I've got the Bruce interview. There's always something that, you know, I just finished my Twin Peaks retrospective. So that's
no spoilers, please. No spoilers.
Nope,
I haven't seen season 3 yet.
None. You will not get any spoilers. Just suffice it that people hate David Lynch right now.
Oh, no.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. Yeah, it's a whole big Twitter you know, thing that it blew up last night. The fans aren't happy.
I've been seeing it, and I've been avoiding it like the plague. I'm like, I don't even want to hear one little tiny thing.
Yeah.
What channel's Twin Peaks on?
Showtime.
Showtime.
Yeah. Okay. It's on Showtime. So I have that. That's out right now. You know, I do have some spoilers in there, but mostly it's about my theories. And this is laughable, the Lynch Whisperer, me trying to, you know, explain what the hell just happened, which is always a good time and always funny. But in addition to that, I'm always doing stuff at my different venues. Lately, it's been kind of crazy, so I haven't gotten to do any movie reviews for my other outlets, like the Queen of Style, Cult Faction, and VHS Revival. Those folks have been very good to me and about printing my stuff. For me personally, I've got a short film that is in a contest. I won't know anything about it till the end of October. So my fingers are crossed about that. It's a short script I wrote.
Got my fingers crossed for you too, because it was really good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you were one of the few that got to sneak preview that, Abby. So, you know, I have an idea for it, you know, if anything happens for it to be a feature. So, you know, that's in the pipeline. I want to get back to writing my short stories, because I want to put out an anthology type book where I tie together all these short stories that I've written. I want to get back to doing some of that, because I have that actually on my Twitter profile. It's I'm Off the Ledge, my blog. And I want to get back to doing that. There's so many things. I have like a file of things other than writing for 1428 that I want to try to find that balance on. But definitely there's going to be things coming up. 1428, you know, you'll see a lot of my stuff there. I want to try to write a few humorous pieces for VHS Revival. The last thing I did there was I looked at iconic houses in horror films, and I wrote ads for them. Like if you wanted to go to Amityville,
oh, that's awesome!
Rental. So I did that. So that's what I'm looking forward to, doing. And like you, I just happened to be in Orlando around the time that Bruce is going to be there. So I'm going to see him again, and then I'm going to try to slay some deadites. over at the Hollywood Horror Nights.
Oh yes,
I want to
okay.
do that
I
too.
try to do that.
So November 2nd, you're going to be in Orlando? Because I'm seeing him the weekend before that. Because you know what they did to me? They didn't have a Florida stop on the book tour. So the closest he got to me was Atlanta, right? So I booked a hotel room, booked a car, plane, the show, and then the week after I did that, they added the Orlando show, which is only about an hour and a half away from me. So I hope to bump into you there.
Yeah, yeah. You're going to Orlando then?
Yeah, so I'm going to see him 2 weekends in a row.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah. Maybe we'll bump into each other in Orlando. Yeah, because it just like I said, it just so happened that I was going to be in Orlando, and then they added that, and I'm like, oh, okay,
Nice.
yeah, I can definitely do that, and I'm looking forward to it because now I know the lay of the land, and I know what to expect with it. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm also looking forward to to interviewing him this week, and I think it'll be an interesting article.
I'm so excited for you. That's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely great. And yeah, I'm going to be hitting the Hollywood Horror Nights too. I got to see that cabin. Can't wait to see what they do with that.
I do. Well, Abby, if I don't know. Do they have that in Los Angeles too?
Yeah, they do. I'm just so far away from Los Angeles, it's not even funny.
Yeah, that's a bummer for that. And
it's not an hour and a half away from me. But
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say for me, Orlando's a hike right now. But then again, I'm such a gypsy that I've been like back and forth across this great land of ours, so many times in the past decade. It's crazy. It's even I'm even amazed I know my zip code. So it's like nothing is, I travel. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait for that. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I mean, we're big fans of you. Anyone who wants to contact you on Twitter, that's at Susan on the Ledge, right?
That's correct.
All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. You guys have been great. I look forward to your casts every month, and you've been great to me, and it's been a pleasure speaking with both of you.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm so excited to finally get to talk to you in real life. It's so
Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you.
scary, was it?
No,
Not
it
at
was
all.
perfect. It's exactly what I expected. Awesomeness.
Well, thank you. You're making me blush. But it was a pleasure, guys. You take care. Have a good evening.
You
Oh,
too,
you too.
Susan. Bless
Thanks,
you.
Steve.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay.
Because that's
She's so awesome. She is so awesome.
I love her.
Oh, man. I really hope that I get to bump into her in Orlando because it would be great. I'll take her to lunch. You know what I mean? It'd be nice. She's really cool. And she has tons of, I mean, you some people, when they don't know their shit, Susan knows her shit. You know what I mean? Because these horror posers, right? Like there's posers who think that they know, and then you ask them these in-depth questions and they're like, they try to bluff their way out of it. She knows everything.
She's fantastic. I absolutely adore her.
Oh, I mean, she's great. I mean, I just met her earlier this year since we've been doing the podcast and anything, but she is so amazing. She will answer a message within seconds. Like, she doesn't leave you waiting. She's just a great person. And that she knows her shit. She is
does.
truly, she knows her shit. I just love it. There's so few that really can back up what they're trying to put out there, but she is definitely one, and I'm so glad that we got a chance to talk to her. How long have you been friends with her?
Oh, I don't know, but for a while now, and we would stay up late and just talk Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi, and it was really basically she's as big a Sam Raimi fan as I am, so it was nice to have somebody to bounce Sam off of, because we were, and it just started, and I just really liked her from the beginning. She's just been great. I don't know where it began. She commented on one of my posts that Bruce Campbell had retweeted, and that's where we met.
That was it. And I know you're always very nice to people, being from California. But I love Bruce, but I love Sam too. The thing is, there's not as much news about Sam as there is about Bruce.
There's not a lot of anything on Sam. I wish that, Bruce has a book where Sam's
right.
I want that
He has a book, he has shows, he has this. Now, I know Sam is behind the scenes at Ghost House Pictures. He's doing producing. He's got all these things. If you look him up on IMDb.com, I mean, it looks like he has like 50 things that he's working on, but he's very silent. He's almost a hermit when it comes to news. The latest news story, did you hear that? Did you hear about the latest news story? The last thing I heard.
The last time was Saturday Awards, and he had a smile on his face. He looked all freaking swagged out. It looked good. But you don't see him.
I know you got
often.
the crush on him. It's all right. Yeah, I know you got a crush on him.
I do have a crush on him. Hey, Sam, if
right.
you're listening, I got a crush on you. No, just kidding.
We don't know the situation with Sam, but we love Sam nonetheless. So, what do you got coming up? Anything, Abby?
Next thing that's coming up is the Sinister Creature Con in October.
And are you going to be there? How are you going? Are you going as an attendee
I'm going as a vendor. We'll be there displaying my wearable arts, and it's October.
I love your wearable art.
Oh, thank you. You want one?
Yeah. I've been waiting for one. I don't know how long, but yeah, I would love something. Send me something. All right.
Yeah. October 13th and 14th, Sinister Creature Con. Ted Raimi, Ray Santiago, Dana De Lorenzo, Danny Hicks. They're all going to be there. So get your tickets if you live in the Sacramento area or surrounding areas. You can fly. I don't care. Come over from New York. It's whatever.
Right.
But
the
they're all
whole
going to be
crew
there.
is going to be there. Yeah.
And then that following Tuesday, Bruce, make it a freaking vacation. Bruce Campbell's going to be there in Sacramento signing his books.
Sweet. Have you ever met Danny Hicks?
I have, but let's call it in passing, I was like 16 years old. I went and saw Bubba Hotep, and Bruce Campbell introduced Danny Hicks. He was out in the audience, and I turned around in my chair because he's only like 2 seats behind me, and I'm sitting there with this big old shit-eating grin on my face, waving weirdly at the guy, and he's probably just like, who the hell is that little girl, and why? I gotta tell you,
Danny Hicks is just so funny. I've never met him personally. He allowed me to be his friend on Facebook, which was fabulous. And it's funny. I put some, he'll comment on some things that I post, on my personal page, and they're always so wrong and just so funny,
Yeah, I
would love to meet him in real life and have a drink and have a few laughs because he seems like a hell of a nice guy, man.
He does. He told me that if I bought the wrong intruder, he would, give me the money back for it, and we'd go buy a new one.
Look at that. See, like, who does that? And that's what I love, these guys. And that leads me to my final thing for today. When it comes to guys like Danny Hicks and Timothy Quill and Don Campbell, who are actually members of the Bruce Campbell fan club, and they do interact with the members and fans, they are allowing us into their lives, okay? They are all my friends on Facebook. I've never met them before, and we have very little interaction, but there is some interaction. But these guys have allowed us into their online lives, and we should not take advantage of that. I noticed that lately there's been a trend in the fan club where they're tagging them for every little silly question and thing. Don't do that. If you have a legitimate question or, you want to do something every now and again, you can do that. But just tagging them for the sake of tagging them because they're in the club. You don't want to bother these guys. And they're kind and gracious enough to answer. But we don't want to just inundate their lives with silly stuff. They don't want to talk Evil Dead all day, in other words. They are real people with real lives, So please be kind. Please be gentle. Exactly. You want to talk about it? Talk about, them. Ask them a question about their day. Don't just say, hey, what happened that day, behind the scenes on filming? They may not know.
30 years ago that you might maybe remember. I can't even remember what I wore, to work yesterday. I don't work, but you know what I mean.
Right. We get the idea. But these guys are great. And they're there, and we want them to stay there. So don't,
let's keep them there.
Don't bother them. Don't bother them too much. Exactly. All right. So that is it for this episode of Bruce on the Loose. Next episode, we are going to be talking about what he did right after The Evil Dead, and it's going to be some of his projects called Cleveland Smith, Bounty Hunter, Going Back, Crime Wave, and thou shalt not kill except.
Ooh.
And you know who the villain of that is, don't you, Abby?
I do. It's Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi as a Jim Jones-esque cult leader with the long hair. I love that. I can't wait. That's going to be next week.
Next week. On the Loose.
Right. So talk to you then. Thanks, Abby.